So it's called, right, here we go, Lisovizia bojani, or maybe Bojani, depending on how you pronounce the J. But I think I got that.
Lisovizia bojani.
Yeah.
Nice.
It had a body like a rhino.
Cool.
2 tusks and a horny beak like a turtle. I'll send you some paleo art, but I don't have it open now, but I will find it.
Okay.
So that was Synapsid of the month. They don't get found often enough for me to do it.
Oh. Synapsid of the year. Proto-mammal of the year.
That sounds like a really bad award.
I've been animating.
I very much enjoyed the animations.
You did?
Yeah, and the segment in general. I was humming Dinosaur of the Month for most of the month.
Yeah, it's, the feedback I've got's been great, actually. People loved Dinosaur of the Month. I've never really given animation a go before, and it's so much easier than I thought it was. I mean, I don't think my animation is that sophisticated, but to just do simple animation, it's very easy.
Yeah, you know Walt Disney, but get it, you'll get there.
Yeah, exactly. Few more animations. Who knows?
Yeah.
Sky's the limit. I think I got so much good feedback on the Dinosaur of the Month theme that I felt like we should be monetizing it somehow.
Yeah.
Like releasing it as a Christmas single or something.
Mm-hmm.
If we were in the early noughties, I thought perhaps we could release the theme song as a ringtone.
It'd make a great ringtone. Yeah, one of those like... But the problem is you could key those in yourself on a Nokia.
Oh, the old ones, yeah. You'd go to websites, wouldn't you? Like Mr. Ringtone, and it would tell you the exact combination of buttons you needed and the right tempo to do, I don't know, like the James Bond theme.
I would usually just buy them from the back of the television magazine, to be honest.
Did you do that? Oh, I forgot you could do that. Yeah, you like texted a number and then they'd send it to your phone or something.
Yeah, but you were a bit more advanced than me.
Oh, I loved that sort of stuff.
And musical.
Oh yeah, well, definitely.
You have to be a little bit musical, I think.
Yeah, well, maybe.
To do Mr. Ringtone.
It was quite easy. It was literally just like 3340011, and that was it. And you just did the whole thing.
Was that Dinosaur of the Month? Because people are going to be pirating it.
I'll work out Dinosaur of the Month. If there is demand for a Dinosaur of the Month ringtone, I will sort that out.
Yeah, check the back of your television magazines next month.
On the topic of Dinosaur of the Month, I don't know if you saw, but one of the listeners has been in touch on Twitter.
No, I didn't see this, sorry.
Yeah, somebody called @TheMindRobber. And you'd like him, by the way, Adam, because he's a big Doctor Who fan.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's the name of a Doctor Who episode, The Mind Robber.
Is it? I thought it might be something to do with that. I know he's a big fan because actually he's a writer and researcher for Doctor Who Figurine magazine.
Wow.
And you've got a subscription to that, don't you?
Is that a part work?
I really hope it's a part work. That would be absolutely fantastic.
Because I could imagine that being the kind of part work. I was a Doctor Who DVD magazine kind of guy. You got a DVD with 2 episodes on.
The old classics.
Well, no. They started with just the like Christopher Eccleston, David Tennant stuff.
Oh.
And then they moved on to the older classics.
Okay.
But yeah, it was always an interesting read.
Well, I don't know that much about this magazine, but I'm sure it's very good. But anyway, The Mind Robber, he shared a very interesting article about this golden age of dinosaur discovery, which you famously rejected the notion of.
Well,
that's the whole reason we're doing Dinosaur of the Month.
To prove me wrong?
Yeah.
Well, shouldn't you do 5 dinosaurs of the month?
This is what he said. He said, you can't really tease for there's a dinosaur discovered every week.
I'm glad to see it's causing so much debate. I'm glad to see people think I'm right.
Yeah. But anyway, so this article he shared with me, which is really, really interesting, and everyone who's interested in this topic should read the article. It's in the show notes. Essentially, what this group of researchers found is that although it's true that a new dinosaur species is discovered every week on average, or roughly therein, they don't always stay that way. And in fact, for all dinosaur genesis discovered between 1850 and 1980, 48% have been cast aside for a variety of reasons. So essentially rejected from the official list of recognised dinosaur genesis. So new dinosaurs discovered all the time, but people are eventually saying, hold on a second, that's not a new dinosaur.
But you said, but genesis are being rejected.
Yeah. But
so that doesn't have anything to do with how many species are recognised. Like, people that thought something was a different genus and say, oh, actually, it's not a different genus, it's just a different species of this genus. They're rejecting genesis, but I don't think that says that they're rejecting that the dinosaurs that were in those genesis were unique species.
Okay.
They would have been fools to have got that wrong, surely.
Okay. So
I hate to go against my own point, but I've got to, keep my integrity.
Yeah, okay. That's interesting. My takeaway from this was when a paleontologist finds a new dinosaur, they've found like a toe bone, yeah? Or a tiny bit of vertebrae. And my interpretation of this is that they're saying, oh, wow, look at this one. It's so different from everything we've had before. It's a brand new genus of dinosaur. It's not one that we've recognised already, and it's not a species that we recognise already or whatever. So then, over time, people examine it and realise, actually, this probably belongs to an already recognised genus of dinosaurs. So the variation of dinosaurs is actually getting smaller.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. Well, I haven't read it, so I don't know.
You should read it. Perhaps I didn't read it correctly. Perhaps the mind robber will be furious that I haven't done my research here. But yeah. So, all right. That's still up for debate then, because I don't understand it properly. But I thought that might put a bit of a dampener on Dinosaur of the Month.
Oh, no. Not with the theme tune.
Well, I was going to say,
that'll bring everybody back up.
I was going to say, I've done a lot of dino research regardless. So I'm going to go ahead and do this episode's Dinosaur. This happened this month. An ultra super rare fossil was discovered this week. If it was a Pokemon card, it would be a first edition shiny.
What the hell are you talking about? If Dinosaur of the Month is always a new dinosaur species, then of course every month it's going to be an ultra rare fossil.
No, this is...
because it's a new species. It's always the first one found.
Right. This fossil is one of just 3 dinosaur bones to have been found in South Australia.
Okay.
All belonging to one species called Kakuru kajani. Kakuru kajani. That's easy, isn't it? So it's a small carnivorous early Cretaceous species from about 110 million years ago and is South Australia's only known dinosaur. That's pretty rare, isn't it?
Yeah, that is. Okay, I'll give you that. That's pretty rare.
We're about to get even rarer, okay? This is the good bit. The fossil is a toe bone that's been opalized.
Ah.
So usually with dinosaur fossils, the organic parts of the bones, like blood cells, fat, collagen, they break down over time, and the organic materials like calcium remain behind. And then over time, you have fossilization, which is when other materials from the environment reinforce the bone, turning it into rock. And at this point, the bone is fossilized. Well, Kakuru kajani has had its bones replaced with opal, which, if you're unfamiliar, is a very pretty gemstone. The birthstone of October, actually.
Nice.
When's your birthday, Adam?
February. You should know this.
Sorry. Aquarius.
Pisces.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, it's a water sign, they say.
Aquarius isn't.
Oh, okay.
For some reason.
Cut that out then.
It's air. Yeah,
Oh, yeah, of course.
It's ridiculous. Anyway, so what do you think of that? That's cool, isn't it?
Yeah, it's cool. It's opalized. Can I see a picture of the fossil?
Yeah, have a look at the fossil. What do you think?
Oh, yeah, okay.
It's not actually that good, is it?
No. No. And
I'm cheating, really, because this isn't the first time the dinosaur's been discovered.
It's in a museum.
Yeah.
I can tell it's displayed, and it's got one of those little descriptions underneath that they have in museums.
Yeah.
I mean, is this proving my point? We're only on month 2 of Dinosaur of the Month.
I knew you'd kick up a fuss. Stay with me. Stay with me.
Okay.
So I thought this was really cool because the fossil was first discovered in the 1970s. So if Dinosaur of the Month had been going since the 1970s, it would have been a great story back then.
Yeah, it would.
But it was spotted by a museum curator in an opal shop. An opal shop. I don't think we get many of those in London. Do you have any opal shops in York?
We've got a Himalayan salt shack in the Christmas market. You know, they sell those lamps.
Oh, yeah, I know the ones. I'm quite intrigued by them, actually.
Oh, don't. I just can't believe that there's anything in it. It's ridiculous. A lamp made of salt.
Yeah, it's cool though. Anyway, this museum curator, after taking a few photos and measurements of the fossil, apparently he loved it so much he took photos and measured it, but he didn't love it so much that he bought it because then it went missing. It was sold to somebody else, and it was just completely missing for 5 decades. Okay. And then this year, a resident spotted the bone for sale on the internet. And they purchased it and donated it to the South Australian Museum, where the aforementioned curator is currently an honorary researcher.
Oh, that's lovely.
Yeah, so they were reunited with this super rare opalized fossil. I thought that was nice. A nice little story.
But, so it's already in the museum.
Yeah.
They've done that fast, haven't they, if it was discovered this month, but okay.
Well, like I say, I thought you might be annoyed that it wasn't discovered this month. So I also have news about a new species, Macrocolum itaqui. It's a vegetarian distant sauropod cousin from the Triassic, discovered in Brazil. And there's more in the show notes. I'm not going into that one. It's just another boring dinosaur found.
Well.
I really struggled to choose my stories for this episode. Not because there wasn't any news, but because there was too much good news, particularly about extinct animals. But I think we've covered those quite extensively in the introduction. So, yeah. I'll just go through them quickly, though, 2 that caught my attention. There's a great story about the bones of a Neanderthal child, which were found to have passed through the digestive tract of a large bird. Did you see that?
Didn't see this, no.
Yeah, so a large bird ate a Neanderthal. Like, that's pretty scary, big old birds. And also there's the discovery that the Siberian rhinoceros, which is like one of those woolly rhinos from the Ice Age, where new researchers found that the species was around until about 30,000 years ago, as opposed to, I think it was like 450,000 years ago.
Wow, that's really recent, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So it would have overlapped with modern humans.
Yeah. And
the conclusion they came to was that this species could be the source of the unicorn myth.
If the unicorn myth started with unicorns being quite different to how they are now, then yeah. Because a rhino isn't that much like a horse.
Over time, I can see an extinct rhino becoming a horse in people's mythology.
Yeah, over 30,000 years, yeah, I guess so.
So, yeah. I thought that was quite interesting.
Yeah, well, yeah, very.
And both stories will feature in the show notes, but they're quite short. And as I say, we cover extinct animals quite regularly. So I'm going to go with this one.
Okay.
It's hard to believe that in this day and age, where I can go online and talk to somebody in, I don't know, like New Zealand or something, pretty much at the speed of light as well, like just send them a little bang message. Mm-hmm. It's hard to believe that there are still communities completely uncontacted by civilization, if you will. Don't you think?
Yes. Oh, yes.
So apparently in 2013, it was estimated that there were around 100 such uncontacted tribes across the world, mostly in forested regions of South America and New Guinea. I've seen them on like I think a David Attenborough documentary actually, with like some drone footage.
Yeah.
And that's how we know about these groups as well, because of aerial footage and also occasionally these violent clashes between them and other tribes that we do have contact with. And as I say, there's some interesting photos of the tribes, so I'll put some of those in the show notes. But one such group, you might have heard of them, are called the Sentinelese from North Sentinel Island in the Bay of Bengal.
I hadn't heard of them until I heard about this story.
Okay, all right, yeah. Excellent. So, historically, they've very much rejected any attempt of contact from the outside world. And apparently after the 2004 Boxing Day tsunami, the island was hit during the tsunami, and an aerial survey after the event confirmed that they had survived. But during that survey, they fired arrows at the Navy helicopter that was passing over the island.
Yeah, fair enough.
And so these are the sort of measures that they go to be like, leave us alone. We're not interested. So in order to respect the Sentinelese's wishes, which they've made quite clear, I think, the Indian government has placed them under protection, making it illegal for others to have any kind of contact with the tribe. And I think that's fair. Yeah. Would you say? Yeah? Yeah,
just leave them be.
Yeah.
Not everyone wants your globalization.
No, offer it to them if they want it. But if they fire arrows at you, be like, all right, you don't have to have it. One thing that you have to remember is that these people are also very vulnerable. They almost certainly won't have the immunity to all sorts of diseases that we carry, like flu and measles. Yeah. So I think that this is one of the reasons the Indian government was like, no, let's just leave them alone. You've seen this, as I can tell, but it seemed that somebody just couldn't help but meddle in the affairs of the Sentinelese. And it may or may not have surprised you to learn that it was a member of a religious group.
I wasn't surprised, was I?
No, I wasn't that surprised.
Missionaries, I mean, it's hardly like a new thing.
No, you're right. And that's how a religion has spread across the world.
But I didn't think people kept doing it now. That's the truth. Like,
oh yeah, Mormons are all about it. Book of Mormon.
But he wasn't a Mormon, was he?
No.
He was just he wasn't a regular guy. He was obviously nuts.
So, for the sake of the listeners who might not be familiar with the story, a 26-year-old American Christian missionary named John Allen Chow recently convinced some local fishermen to take him to the island where he allegedly wished to preach Christianity to the Sentinelese. It didn't go down very well. Upon reaching the island, he was apparently attacked with arrows, but decided to continue walking towards the Sentinelese anyway. And at which point, from what I can understand, they tied a rope around his neck.
No, you've got the story all wrong.
Have I? What do you think happened?
He turned up.
Yeah.
They started firing arrows at his boat, so he rowed off.
No.
No, that's true. He had his little waterproof Bible. He thought, oh, right, I'll go off. And then he came back with a fish. And a couple of them came down to the beach and actually, had the fish off him, talked to him for a bit, and then sent him on his way again. And then he came back for a third time. And at this point, you're like, if you haven't learned by now that they're not interested, like, I don't think it to be okay for a religious person to do that here. I don't want you keep turning up at my door, and there's no risk of you giving me measles. I've had the jab.
When you say no to a Jehovah's Witness here, you don't expect him to turn up tomorrow with a fish.
No, I do not. And then that's where the story continues. You can describe the gruesome death.
Yeah, well, I understand that they attacked him with arrows, hit him with arrows, and then they tied a rope around his neck, dragged his body along the beach, and the observing offshore fishermen then fled the scene. Did you hear it was more gruesome than that?
No, I don't know the details of how he died. This was just a conversation topic over lunch at work. Like, I haven't actually read about it.
Okay.
That could all be wrong, but I don't think it is.
Anyway, do you know what the Indian authorities have done in response?
No.
So they've arrested the fishermen that helped to get Mr. Chow to the island. And then they've pretty much said, well, what can we do about this? It's not really a murder, is it?
Yeah, no.
The Sentinelese aren't part of civilization. They don't fall under legal obligations, do they?
The law has no power on the island.
I mean, these people don't even use money. They don't have anybody to barter with. They're a self-contained.
I think he took him a couple more things when he took the fish. I can't remember what they were, but some of them were like more modern gifts than you'd expect.
iPhone, Alexa.
Yeah. As I said, his Bible had a waterproof cover on, so he's a guy with the gadgets.
Yeah. So, while it's worth noting that not all Christians have been very supportive of Mr. Chow's subversive indoctrination, evangelical Christian newspaper, the Christian Post, have run an article where they call him a 21st century martyr. So, make of that what you will.
Well, okay then. I believe that if you want to say that all martyrs in history are like this guy, this idiot, then fine. Maybe that's the truth. Maybe they were all nuts.
So a few days after the news broke, we had another article from thisisinsider.com alleging that John Chow had attended a 3-week training course run by a group called All Nations in Kansas. Did you hear about this?
No, I don't think so.
So one of the exercises that he was subjected to is astonishing. He was blindfolded, taken to a remote location where he was then made to interact with like a quasi Sentinelese tribe who were branding fake spears and speaking, and I quote, gibberish. I mean, in this age of political correctness has gone mad.
Well, I think I should say it's okay, because just like, if they can get away with murder, you're allowed to say what they're talking as gibberish. I think that's the trade-off we've done.
We don't have to be politically correct.
We still call them uncivilized.
Yeah, still call them a tribe. When I was writing up my notes, I was thinking, can I call them that? Is that not... It feels a bit colonialist to refer to a group of humans as a tribe, but I guess...
That's what they are.
That is what they are, yeah.
Can I just say that these people on the island, they don't want your political correctness. They don't want any of it. They're perfectly happy as they are. They don't care what you're thinking. They don't care what you're saying about them. They're not going to be listening to the podcast. So call them a tribe.
Well, you don't know what gifts that this John Chow gave them. He might have given him an iPod.
With it already downloaded, because they don't have Wi-Fi.
Maybe he gave him a router as well. Maybe he installed some fibre infrastructure.
Well, I think he should have been training for that then at the camp. Broadband installation.
He might have been. What I think is really funny about this is that people say political correctness has gone mad and you can't say anything nowadays. But there's an American group in Kansas, I'm assuming, who dress up as fake tribespeople, brandish spears and just talk gibberish to mimic an uncontacted tribe off the coast of India. I think that's absolutely mental.
Yeah, I mean, I'd keep it quiet. We all enjoy a costume. But keep it civilised.
Yeah, keep it civilised.
That's the exact opposite of what they were doing.
I think these people are completely batshit insane. And the worst thing is, in my opinion, the Sentinelese got hold of his body. So this tribe, who've likely been in seclusion for thousands of years,
yeah,
there are apparently only about 50 to 100 of them left. They survived the 2004 tsunami, and yet now they might succumb to a disease that this missionary was carrying because they've got his body.
Yeah.
It's just so selfish. Leave them alone.
That's a really sad story, actually.
It is. It's like you and me rocking up on North Sentinel Island with a bunch of iPods being like, hey, what do you think of Dinosaur of the Month?
No, you know what? That's the reason I'm upset, because people would frown on that more. But I think it's better. At least they'd learn some science news. So I've got a little task for you.
Oh, brilliant. Go on.
I want you to engage your senses and describe, your situation right now.
So I'm sitting on a chair.
Well, I want you to, include your senses more in your descriptions for the listeners.
Okay. All right, cool. So I'm listening to you. I'm listening to us recording this podcast.
Yeah.
I'm looking at a microphone and my laptop screen. I'm not really feeling much. What am I?
Touching, yeah.
Tasting. I've got the taste of squash because we just had a bit of a glass of squash.
Nice.
to wet my palate, and it smells just normal in here.
Okay, right.
Yeah. Why?
I mean, you've used a couple of your senses, but what about the rest of them?
Things like balance.
Oh, okay. You're getting it. So I'll just go through them.
Okay, so you're saying that there are more than 5 senses.
Well, yeah, but this is just for the introduction. So for the listeners who don't know, I'll go through the rest of the senses. Some might be unfamiliar to you as well. So, for example, you've got loads of receptors in your skin that detect not just pressure but temperature. Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
So you know how hot it is. To you, this is how hot it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a sense as much as anything else is, right?
Is that not a touch in a way? It's the air touching you.
No.
It's using the same receptors though, right? Or is it using
No,
receptors?
it's using heat receptors, pressure receptors and touch receptors. Like, well, there are 2 types of pressure receptors. Oh God, this is getting complicated already, depending on whether it's soft or hard, yeah. And then I think there's 6 different temperature receptors. But of course, there's like, in your eye, there's different receptors. You know, you've got rods and cones. But you'd still say, you know, seeing is one sense, not like seeing light and seeing colour are 2 different senses, right?
Yeah.
But I think temperature and touch are.
Yeah, okay, they're quite different.
Okay, there's more anyway. If you don't want to include that on your list, it is somewhat subjective.
Go on, hit me with some more.
So in your muscles and joints, there are sensors that tell you where the different parts of your body are. That's called proprioception.
Cool. So like I know where my foot is.
Yeah. So proprioception is the sense that they're testing if you get pulled over for drunk driving and they make you walk in a straight line, or put your finger to your nose. It's that sense.
Right, yeah. Coordination almost.
Yeah, like if you closed your eyes and tried to touch your elbow, you'd know where it was, even though you can't see it. It's not that you remember where it is, because you can move it with your eye closed and you still know where you've put it because you can feel where it is, you know? When you start thinking about it, it's kind of cool.
That is really crazy, actually.
But is it crazy? It's just another sense that we've got that we don't think about, because it was Aristotle, you know, actually. This is drifting a little bit, but it's Aristotle's fault, because he was the one who singled out, you know, 5 senses, nothing more. And you can't blame him, because it was in ancient Greek times, but...
Did he do the 4 elements as well? Earth, air, fire, water?
Well, I'm not sure. He did some life history stuff like me.
You're a modern day Aristotle.
Well, where was I anyway? Okay, yeah. And then you've got your senses of balance and acceleration. So they're provided by the vestibular system in your inner ear, you know, that fluidy bit.
Yeah. So if you get an inner ear infection, it can give you things like vertigo, can't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, like, that's why people get car sick, apparently. Because obviously to your ear it feels like, well, not to your ear, to your vestibular system, sorry, it feels like you're sitting still pretty much, but outside you can see how fast you're actually going. And then you've got the so-called organic senses, so that's things like stomach and bladder fullness. So you know if you're hungry, you know if you need to go for a wee, and that's not touch, like you don't have touch receptors there. And of course you've got a sense of pain too. So there's a lot of senses. And senses have been in the scientific spotlight this week because scientists, actually I think they were doctors, but at the Massachusetts Eye and Ear Hospital have managed to induce a sense of smell in humans just using electrodes that they put in the nose to stimulate the olfactory bulb.
They can stimulate a scent.
Yeah, so they put the electrodes up there and the brain thinks, even though they're not providing them with a smell, that it can smell something.
Right.
So smell loss affects 5% of the population. What do you think of smell as one of the senses to lose?
When I think of the traditional 5, Aristotle's 5, it's the one that I think is least important.
Well, but smell is really linked to taste though, isn't it? So I think taste comes at the bottom of the ladder.
But then I think taste would be my second one that I would get rid of. because although taste is a nice one to have, all the others are essential to just being, you know? Losing sight or listening or touch, life would be unbearable.
Mm.
I'm amazed that some people do that. But losing taste, you know.
I read a thing on Reddit by a blind person who said he actually thinks it's very rude when people say that, like, it's just because of society's fear of blindness that people think of it as something so unlivable with, you know, when in fact, like, people who are born blind can function in society just as well as anybody else.
Of course, yeah. But if I was told that I was going to no longer be able to see anymore, I'd be terrified of all the things I could see, not being able to see my girlfriend or my parents ever again, or, you know, Jurassic Park. It would be horrible. So I actually meant that as well, Jurassic Park. I wasn't trying to be funny there, but I don't want to be rude to the blind people, though. I respect the blind people. Anyway, sorry, go on then.
I did kind of think that smell wouldn't be my worst one to lose, though. You know, it's one of the ones that I think I could cope with, but I was reading a bit about it because I thought I don't want to offend the anosmia community either. And the article said, our sense of smell not only contributes to our enjoyment of life, but also to our daily safety and well-being. We rely on our sense of smell to make us aware of smoke and detecting a fire, natural gas leaks, and to avoid rotting food. I mean, what sort of a person in daily life is detecting fire or natural gas or rotten food, though? Whereas crossing the road and not being able to detect a car coming is going to happen a lot more often, isn't it, really?
It is, but I guess what the person's trying to say is that we need it in our daily life because if you didn't have it one day and that was the day that you needed it.
No,
wow.
I think that's a good reason that the researchers put forward as to why it's important evolutionarily. But with the modern world the way it is, you're pretty much all right, aren't you? You can probably get an alarm, a smoke alarm. There you go. That's a good one.
Yeah, I mean, well, we have smoke alarms, don't we? The reason we have smoke alarms must surely be because smell alone is not not to be trusted.
So when you're asleep, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so in which case, I think you could put hearing up higher. What's a smoke alarm do? It just makes a loud noise to be like, something's wrong.
Yeah.
Because it recognises that you're not going to smell it.
And also, like, if you've got the door shut, then the smell is more or less contained because it's a gas moving through the alarm is just a sound wave.
Yeah.
And go through the door.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the research that they've done is just sort of a proof of concept thing. They've, like, chucked an electrode in, excited it, and made some smells. When I say they've chucked it in, obviously it's been a very well-conducted surgical procedure. I don't know why I said that. So the smells they've induced include onions, antiseptic, and fruity, apparently.
So they intentionally go out to induce specific smells, not
well,
just
no,
a
this
smell.
is the thing. They just excite it, and then people describe them as these things. They haven't figured out how to make the onion smell or the antiseptic smell. They've just proved that using an electrode, you can make a smell in somebody's brain. So they haven't yet figured out how you're going to get from smell to smell. Because obviously, yes, the receptors in your nose are also like incredibly diverse, like way more than just in your eyes where you have rods and cones, or in your ears where it's just how the particles of air are moving. In your nose, it's way more chemical. It's like different parts in the smell.
Isn't it combinations with the nose? So you've got, say you have 4 receptors, and obviously you've got a lot more than that.
Yeah.
Receptors A through to D. Like, onions might be when A and B is stimulated, whereas fruits might be when A and C is stimulated together or something.
Yeah, well, that's obviously a simplistic description, because obviously think of all of the continuum of smells you can smell. It's virtually unlimited.
Yeah, there are so many different smells. The smells are crazy, aren't they?
Yeah.
And I often smell new smells as well. I'm like, oh, I don't think I've smelled that before.
Well, next code red, I assume you tried after the last episode.
Well, actually, no, that's a really good point, right? Like, think of all the smells that are out there that most people won't smell.
Yeah. Well, they won't need to leave the house anymore. They'll just be able to
stick a thing up their nose,
stimulate the nose. Yeah. This group is aiming to do is create like a nose version of the cochlear implant.
Yeah.
It's basically the same idea. The cochlear implant just stimulates the part of the ear that would send the messages to your brain electronically, like translates it from a microphone to electronic pulses to send to your brain, yeah? That's what they are proposing that this will lead to eventually. But I think it's harder to like recognize a smell in the environment than it is to record the sound.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
We don't have smell-o-vision.
Exactly. That's what I think the drawback of the research is.
Yeah. Whenever you get a smell, we don't have digital smells.
Yeah.
We have digital sound and we have digital pictures. But digital smells would be crazy. Digital sound is easy as well. Like we're doing it right now.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if I'd call it easy if it hadn't been figured out yet.
No, I guess not. But you're just... Yeah, okay, never mind.
You know, in a couple of years' time, people might be saying, oh, God, I can't believe they didn't figure out. Digital smells are so easy.
I don't know. It also doesn't sound very appealing to have like something like smell-o-vision.
Well, no, but we're talking about an implant for people with anosmia.
Yeah, sorry.
The condition that can lead to
burning to death.
Or not smelling gas leaks. Or eating rotting food.
Yeah, I'm sure that there is demand for this product, for sure, for those people.
But I think we're way, way away from that yet, yeah?
I mean, like, I don't know. I don't know anything about it, so I wouldn't want to say, but
I just don't know how
a more complex issue.
Yeah. Real-time analysis of smells. Real-time analysis of smells. That's what it would require for it to function like the cochlear implant.
Yeah, and it would have to recognise every smell along a spectrum of smells. Or it'd be rubbish. Yeah.
So imagine my shock.
Oh, no, they've not done it, have they?
They haven't done it.
Okay.
But, well, spoiler alert. Cut that out in the final version.
Right.
Imagine my shock when the Daily Mail ran the headline, fruity, woody or minty, digital smells sent via electrodes placed in your nose could let you transmit odours in messaging and dating apps.
Oh, that's gross.
Well, yeah.
What odours are you transmitting?
Well, you know, I'm sure you can imagine.
Okay.
I thought, like, classic Daily Mail, over-egging the pudding. Like, some scientists are trying to make this thing to make disabled people's lives better.
Mm-hmm.
And this is how they're grabbing onto it and trying to twist it around. It turns out they were talking about a real thing, right? But a different thing. But on a very similar vein, like, no research has come out about this, but the Daily Mail reported on a piece of in-progress research by a guy who claims to be working towards this, like, digital communication of smells.
God. Okay.
He said, he did a little bit of a interview with him, and he said, so, for example, you could be having a virtual dinner with your friend through the internet. You can see them in 3D and also share a glass of wine together, he said. I don't really understand how that process is made better than, you know, maybe the 3D that he's talking about, but that isn't what you've done yet.
No, that's augmented reality. That's not digital smells. And also, if you've got a glass of wine and you're sharing a glass of wine with each other, then the wine, you'll be able to smell the wine.
Yeah.
That's the smell. And
it's the idea that you have the same wine, you have different wine, because you'll already have wine if you're sharing a glass of wine. You'll already be able to smell wine. So
let's play it out. Like it's you and I. We're having a virtual dinner now.
Yeah.
We've both got this smell thing, so we both pour ourselves a glass of wine.
Mm-hmm.
I've got what smell are you gonna send me?
Wine.
I've got wine. What if you're drinking red and I'm drinking white and you send me some red and I'll be like, Jesus, I don't want that right now. Like, I'm trying to drink white.
Yeah, I don't know whether the idea is that it would be continuous, though. Like, there would be no pressing, oh, send a wine. It would be more like NoseTime.
Okay.
But with also FaceTime. But so I looked into his work a bit further because I thought it sounded fascinating, really. I saw some pictures of the smell things, and he's using big old electrodes. Like, I wouldn't be having them stuck up my nose during a FaceTime. Like, I think we're still way off the messaging part of it. His name is Adrian David Chiok.
Okay.
And he works on all kinds of really interesting stuff, actually. Like, I'm not knocking him. He's also the editor of some of the best named journals I've seen in a while. Here we go. Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Lovotics, academic studies of love and friendship with robots.
This guy sounds like a creep.
They're not all like that.
Okay.
But there's some, I'm pretty sure there was another good one. Hang on. Human-computer interaction, International Journal of Arts and Technology, Journal of Recent Papers on Computer Science. See, these are all like...
boring.
Yeah, in fact, they might all be boring. Hang on.
You were really hoping I was going to go for Lovotics.
No, I read them and I sure thought there was way more. I thought Lovotics was a good name there.
It's okay. It's just a portmanteau of love and robotics.
Yeah, but the journal is about academic studies of love and friendship with robots.
Yeah.
How niche is that?
I mean, I don't know. There's 2 astrobiology journals.
True. Okay, if you're not impressed with these journals, he's got some crazy inventions.
Oh, yeah. Go on.
Let's see if you can guess what this one is. He's a bit like me in that I don't think he came up with the names first because they're crap.
Okay.
Kissinger.
Kissinger.
Yeah, what do you think that could be?
Going by the theme of what he's trying to do with smells, I feel like it's sending somebody a kiss. Digitally. Yeah. A digital kiss.
That is exactly it. Would you like to see Kissinger in action?
God, I don't know if I do. I feel like it's going to be a device that has like a pair of lips and you sort of press it to your mouth and somebody else essentially presses a button elsewhere and it kisses you.
That is quite an accurate description.
Let me have a look at it. Kissinger.
I think you will be more impressed with it, though.
This guy sounds like a real weirdo.
He's actually a professor at City University of London, so you could go and interview him as a guest on Generic Drift.
I don't think he'll want to do that.
Well, you haven't heard some of his inventions.
Hold on, I'm looking at Kissinger. Oh my god. Oh god, it's weird. It's huge as well. It's absolutely enormous.
Well, some people have got big lips.
No, I mean even what it's attached to.
Can I just say for the listeners that it's an iPhone, or I don't know whether it's an iPhone, is it?
It's a smarphone attachment.
It goes onto your smartphone, so it's not enormous. It's not as big as having another person in the room for a kiss.
No, you're right. It doesn't look like a pair of lips though either. It looks like a blob of Play-Doh.
Well, just watch the video.
I am watching the video. Oh god. No, this is weird. Go on. What other inventions has he come up with?
Are you not going to describe it at all?
You want me to describe...
We are making a podcast.
All right, you want me to describe Kissinger? All right, so Emma Yan Zhang is showing a device. You slot your smartphone into it, and on the bottom it's got something that's jutting out. It looks nothing like a mouth, but I'm assuming it serves the function of a mouth. And It looks like you hold that up to whatever part of your body you want to be kissed, and then the other person via an app presses a button and it sends you a kiss.
I think I would like to clarify that this is intended for parents and children, I think.
That's how they're marketing it. I don't think those are going to be the people buying it, are they?
He has another invention on a similar target audience, which is a pair of pajamas that you can send your child a virtual hug in.
This guy is weird. Why is he doing these?
And he's also got an aromatherapy hoodie.
Ooh.
Oh, that one you're interested in?
Yeah, I quite like that. I love aromatherapy.
You haven't seen the reasoning for it. It's called the mood hoodie.
Right.
And if you like aromatherapy, then you're going to agree with it. The idea is people send you smells.
Yeah.
But obviously a more limited section because it's an aromatherapy hoodie to improve your mood. The mood hoodie.
That's stupid.
That's what it is. So I just, I know that we've drifted a bit from the original topic, but that's the senses. Every 11.5 seconds in the United States, a vertebrate dies from the same thing. Can you guess what it is?
Dehydration.
Nope.
Starvation.
Nope.
Am I along the right lines?
You're quite a way down the road.
Okay. Hit by a car.
Yes. I'm glad that you got the clue. I thought when you replied that you'd missed the clue and you thought I was just being weird.
No.
So an estimated million vertebrates a day get killed on roads.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a shocking statistic, isn't it?
That is crazy. Every 11.5 seconds.
But that's in the United States. So that's obviously quite a big place.
States.
Yeah, just in the United States. Way more than every 11.5 seconds worldwide, I would say.
Yeah, bloody hell. Think of how many vertebrates have died in the time since you've started this segment.
Yeah, it's a shame.
Yeah.
I mean, I went for a little walk before winter properly started and got lost and ended up on the A64. And I was quite shocked by the amount of pheasants that were there.
Mm.
It was a little bit upsetting, having to walk over pheasants. But I mean, obviously, they can be quite dangerous as well. Animal collisions, obviously for the animal, it's pretty much had it in a lot of cases. But there are some big animals out there that can do damage to you or your vehicle as well.
Yeah, like kangaroos.
Kangaroos are a great example. I was specifically looking at deer vehicle collisions. So apparently they lead to about 200 deaths a year in the US, for example.
That is a lot, yeah.
It turns out that despite what those singing hedgehogs told us when we were kids, animals don't know the Green Cross code.
I'm going to put that advert in
the show notes.
Yes.
Yeah, I was hoping so.
Because I'm not sure if many people will be familiar with it.
You know the road well and you never can tell. You've got to be wise so you can get a surprise. If there's one thing to know, stop, think, then go.
King of the road. Oh, right.
No, that's not it. You don't even know it.
Oh, okay. Well, I remember King of the Road.
Okay, yeah. And as we expand through the world, globalization again, we're laying down roads in more remote places, and the problem is only going to get worse, and it's only going to start affecting more and rarer species. So one place that they've had a particular problem with roadkill is Tasmania. They have the highest roadkill rate in Australia. Obviously, Australia has a lot of endemic fauna, animals that you don't find anywhere else in the world.
Yeah, all the marsupials, right? Apart from the opossum, I think.
Virginia opossum, yeah. And in fact, a lot of species that have been lost on mainland Australia still exist in Tasmania, so protecting them is even more important.
It's like a reserve, essentially.
Yeah, so for example, the Tasmanian devil. Obviously they've got it in captivity elsewhere, but it's endemic to just Tasmania now. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Did it used to be endemic to all of Australia then?
I think you can imagine that there was something like it there. But over the last 20 years, it's become an endangered species. It's not actually because of the car thing. It's had a bit of a rough time with devil facial tumour disease, which is a cancer that gets passed on from individuals to individuals, directly through biting. But the last thing they need is getting killed in an avoidable road accident.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say.
Yeah, and obviously a lot of people go to Australia to see the unique fauna. A lot of people go to Tasmania to see the unique fauna as well. And they don't want to be ended up seeing it smushed on the road.
Yeah.
So they put some money into it. So what are the ways that you can think of that we go to avoid animal collisions, to prevent them more than avoid them?
I know you can do things like create bridges
Yeah.
or tunnels for animals to use instead of having to cross the road.
Mm-hmm.
I guess you could maybe fence off the roads. That might help a little bit, although if there's so much road, then that.
But then that also becomes a problem because obviously large species have large home ranges, and if you've built your road through something's home range and then you put a fence up, you might be changing the ecosystem, causing too much competition between conspecifics.
All right, you got me there. Let's not do
We're
that
going
one.
for something ecologically friendly.
Ecologically friendly. Oh, gosh, that's hard.
I mean, there are two easy ones that we do here in the UK.
What's that?
So you can have signs. We have road signs with a deer on, don't we? Like an erect deer.
Erect deer?
Yeah, like... Are they not? I thought they were like the Lloyd's TSB logo. I think you would call that an erect horse.
I don't think you would.
I think that's the term.
Are you insane?
No, I think that's it.
Erect horse? I, for the life of me, would never want to Google erect horse. I'm sorry. I don't know what you're talking about. I kind of understand what you mean.
Like on two hooves. It's erect.
It's not.
Homo erectus.
Standing horse. Hold on, I'm Googling this.
No, because they stand on four legs.
Rearing, that's what it's called.
Oh, well, that's just as rude.
No, it's...
Rearing horse. You're going to Google that?
Yeah, I have done. It's fine. Just for shits and gigs, I'm going to do erect horse as well. Yeah. Yeah, no, that's completely different search result.
I'm pretty sure that that's how I've seen... Okay, the reason I thought it was that was because I was reading the specification for the crests of the various members of the Royal House of Windsor.
Hmm.
And they're written in like a specific, like, formal way. And I'm pretty sure it said something like an erect... Oh, maybe that was obviously a lion.
An erect lion?
Yeah.
Perhaps it was.
Or maybe it didn't say erect. I'm sorry. Shall we go back to the story?
Yes, let's go back to the story.
So you could have signs with prancing, rearing deer we have here.
Mm-hmm.
And ducks, I've seen.
Yeah.
Or you could have speed bumps, for example.
Yeah, okay, to slow the drivers down.
Yeah, because the problem in most of these places in Tasmania is they're just like big roads in the like through habitat, basically. Like in Australia, you're traveling a long time to get place to place very quickly, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously, people hate speed bumps, and people ignore signs, or just they cease to register after a while.
Yeah, well, whenever I see a deer sign and I'm driving, I don't think, oh, there's better slow down. I think, yeah, right, I'm going to see a deer around here.
Well, that's how 200 people a year get killed.
Yeah.
You actually were close to mentioning the answer when you were talking about it. You were talking about putting fences up, but I shouted you down.
You did.
The answer may be a virtual fence.
Right.
Okay.
I like the sound of this. This sounds interesting.
Yeah, so it's a little box. Well, it's quite a few little boxes, actually. About the size of a mobile phone.
Mm-hmm.
And they get mounted on poles at the side of the road at intervals of 25 metres. So it's 25 metres on one side of the road and then another one 25 metres ahead. But on the other side of the road, it's like halfway between the two poles. So they're not actually 25 metres apart.
Okay.
That's unnecessary detail.
Yeah, it is. But
sorry.
What you're saying is like if you drew a line between them, it would be a zigzag down the road.
Yeah. And what happens is when a vehicle approaches, the headlights set the device off and it starts flashing blue and amber lights and a high-pitched siren goes off to warn animals and give them plenty of time to like get out of the road before a car comes.
Mm-hmm.
So scientists set up a 3-year study to see how it worked on a 13-kilometre stretch of road in Tasmania. And the compared sections of road with these virtual fences fitted and without. And they found that the roadkill rate in the zones with the virtual fences was reduced by more than 50%.
Cool.
Which is great, isn't it? But, well, I still had a lot of questions. Like, so if it works by sensing car headlights, well, what happens if it's the day?
Yeah.
Is Australia the kind of place where people drive around with the headlights on all day?
Maybe it doesn't need to detect them during the day. Maybe that's just what it uses at night, headlights. Perhaps during the day it could just pick up the speed of the car or something. But at night time it wouldn't be able to see that because there'd be no light.
Well, they didn't mention that in the paper, and I think they would have made a bigger deal about it if it was.
Yeah, no, you're right, actually. Obviously.
The Tasmanian devil, of course, is nocturnal.
Oh.
So, for that specific species, but, you know, why wouldn't you want to protect every species that you possibly could, yeah?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, sorry, I'm just thinking a 50% reduction means that if that was implemented in the US and the same effect was received there, then that would just mean that a vertebrate was killed every 22 seconds instead of every 11 seconds. That doesn't sound that good.
No. But it's a lot better. It's half. Yeah, halving is great.
It's not like amazing, considering how frequently. Okay, there's two things you need to consider here. One thing is the end result. Yes, it halves the amount of animals that die. That's great. But the other thing that we need to consider here is the fact that the quantity of animals that are still dying is still enormous. Yeah. And the effect that this virtual fence is having on actually protecting these populations is fairly negligible when you take that into consideration.
I think halving is still better than nothing. And these virtual fences are actually relatively cheap, like cheaper than a normal fence.
Oh,
which I don't know if there's any we described the problems with normal fences. Like, who knows whether they're going to make more damage, you know? And also, lots of animals can get through a fence. It doesn't take much to break a fence, yeah? The money that it would cost to line some of these huge roads from place to place in Australia with fences would just be insane.
Yeah, but how much does a fence protect? Is it 50% reduction or is it?
Well, I think it'd have to be more like a 99% reduction for people to even consider it, because a fence needs repairing as well.
Yeah.
Like all the time.
So do these things, I'm assuming.
Well,
these things are running on electricity, so there's even more complexity to them. So they will need maintenance. Don't get me wrong. I'm not discrediting this. I think it's good. And as you say, it's better to have a 50% reduction than none at all. But what I'm saying is, we need to work on that, because that needs to be better.
I think it's only going to get worse. We're only going to get faster. I guess AI cars might solve it. But they're never going to prioritise a Tasmanian devil's life over a human's, no matter how endangered it becomes, because we program AIs.
Yeah.
Or maybe they will. I don't know.
We need more Tasmanian devil developers.
I mean, as I say, like I had reservations about it as well. Apparently, they've had great success of up to 80% similar things to stop deer in Europe.
With the same technology?
But a similar technology, yeah.
It'd be terrible if it ended up attracting animals, wouldn't it?
Yeah. I mean, it probably does, like moths and stuff.
Yeah. Insects.
Yeah, they've got plenty though, haven't they?
Yeah. And that's from an entomologist.